Hello everyone, and welcome to another video designed to support my course It's Never Too Late to Learn IT. In this video we're going to look at what I call the basic keyboard keys, and I'll demonstrate them to you using this page from the course. On many keyboards, a lot of the keys are just marked with arrows and don't actually tell you what they do, which to say the least can be somewhat mystifying if you're a beginner using the keyboard. So we're going to work our way through some of these basic keyboard keys, and I'll explain to you what they do and demonstrate them as we go down the page. So first of all, there's the Enter key. Now this is usually the largest key on your keyboard apart from the space bar at the bottom. It's also usually located somewhere on the right hand side. Sometimes it says Enter, and often it's just marked with an arrow with an upstroke and a left-handed pointing arrow. And the function of the Enter key is to start a new line or a new paragraph. So each time, I'm going to do this as I'm talking to you, each time you press the Enter key, it starts a new line. So when you're typing and you want to start the next bit of text on the next line or lower down the screen than the previous line, you press the Enter key. If you put space into your text, as I've just done there, that you don't want, you need to delete it. Now, delete is another button on the keyboard. In fact, there's delete and there's backspace. Now, I'm going to use the backspace one, which again is usually just marked with an arrow, and it's usually located just above the Enter key. I'm going to use backspace to delete that space that I've just put in. You also on your keyboard, you'll find 4 arrow keys. They're usually located in a group together. On my keyboard, they're at the bottom right, but they're not always in the same position, but they're always all 4 of them together. They're marked with arrows. There's an up one, a down one, a left and a right, and those move your typing cursor around the text that you've already typed. So if I press the down arrow, it goes down the screen. If I press the left arrow, it goes left across the screen. If I press the right arrow, it goes right across the screen. If I press the up arrow, it goes upwards. Now what you're doing there is moving the typing cursor. So if you now start typing, anything that you type will insert itself in the position of your typing cursor. So if you look at the screen now, you should see my typing cursor, or the insertion point, I think it's technically called. It's just before the D of down, so anything that I type now will go in before the D of down. And again, I'm going to use backspace to delete the letters that Now we're going to look at these 4 keys: Home, End, Page Up and Page Down. So if I click in the middle of a line here and then press the Home button on the keyboard, you'll see it moves the typing cursor to the start of the line. And if I click on the End button, it moves the typing cursor to the end of the line. Now these are just shortcuts, quick ways of moving around your text when you're editing them. Some people like to use them, some people don't. It's entirely up to you. The aim of this course is to teach you to use the computer in the way that suits you best. So I often say to my students, if you watch me using a computer, I might not be using it in the way that I've taught you, because I'm only going to teach you one way, generally speaking, of doing anything. So if you find another way of doing something, it doesn't make you right and me wrong, and it doesn't make me right and you wrong. It just means that there's more than one way of doing something, and you find the way of doing any particular thing on a computer that suits you best. These 2 keys here, Page Up and Page Down, do pretty much what it says they do. If you press Page Up, it moves you up your work one screenful at a time. So I'm pressing Page Up here, and then to come back to where I came from, I'll just press Page Down 2 or 3 times and we'll be back to where we started. Control Home and Control End are quick ways of getting back to the very beginning of your document or the very end. Now if you've only got a short document that's just 1 or 2 pages, you probably won't use them. But in something like this course that we're looking at, where if you look at the bottom left of my screen here, you can see it's currently 70 pages. Getting to the beginning or the end can be quite tedious, but if I press the control button, hold down the control button on the bottom left of my keyboard and press Home, I'll go straight to the very beginning of the course. And if I press and hold the control button and then press end, that will take me right to the very end of the course. So returning to the basic keyboard keys page, we're then going to look at delete and backspace. Now delete usually, very handily, says DEL or delete on it. Backspace, for some strange reason, often just has a backward left-hand pointing arrow on it, although mine does say backspace. Both will delete text, but they simply delete in different directions. So the delete, and I'll show you, will delete, as I say forward, it'll delete what's in front of your cursor. So if I press the delete button now, it will delete the C of character. And if I press it again, it will delete the H of character. So I'll just put those back in. Now the backspace deletes in the opposite direction. So if I press backspace now, it will delete the H. And if I press the backspace, it will delete the C. So they simply do the same job, but in the opposite direction. And finally, we're going to look at Shift and the caps lock button. Shift on my keyboard says Shift, but on many keyboards it's just marked yet again with arrows, upward pointing arrows. So if you hold down the Shift key on your keyboard, which I'm doing now, I'll just click in here, hold down the Shift key and then type a letter and you'll get an uppercase letter. So here we're going to get some uppercase letters. Let go of the Shift key and carry on typing and you'll be back to lowercase. So I'm just going to use the backspace key to delete those. Caps lock, if you press the caps lock, and as you can see, the computer just sent me a warning that my caps lock is turned on. Anything that I type now will come out in capitals unless or until I press the caps lock to turn the capitals off. If I carry on typing now, having turned the caps lock off, I'll come out in lowercase. Again, I'll just delete what I've typed there because we don't want it. So I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again in the next video.